We are absolutely punctual. Good evening, Jerome.
Good evening.
So welcome to the friends of the community of Passione, first of all, and we are live with Jerôme D'Ambrosio. I will introduce quickly my good friends, and Jerome, of course. Je souhaite que vous pouvez bien comprendre aussi l'anglais. On va faire tout le meeting en anglais, c'est bien clair, mais Jerome parle beaucoup de langage, donc je m'excuse avec les amis qui viennent de la France ou qui comprennent le français, on va le faire en anglais. Saluto anche tutti coloro i quali normalmente parlano italiano, evidentemente, ma in questo webinar della nostra Passione Engadina Community sarà in lingua inglese. Jerome in realtà potrebbe gestire benissimo tutte le lingue. Entschuldigung für meine schlechte Deutsche. Das ist nur eine English meeting with Jerome D'Ambrosio. And first of all, thanks to Julius Baer, because I met you thanks to Julius Baer at the beginning, Jerome, and they are my proud partner of Passione Engadina. First of all, how are you, Jerome?
Well, hi everyone. Well, considering the circumstances, I can say that I'm doing well, and so is my family, which is the most important thing. Strange times, so yes, it's a bit of a particular situation. Everything's on a standby, and so we look forward to resuming our normal lives. But what is necessary, and so at the moment in confinement.
Jerome D'Ambrosio, I had the pleasure to meet him because he's, in a way, an ambassador from Julius Baer, but also, of course, is now one of the most professional Formula E driver. I met him before on the Formula One, of course. He's a great driver, but I have to tell you, to the Instagram people, that I'm the honored to know a gentleman, first of all. So my first question to you is, how can you manage to be a gentleman in such a tough world of racing and remaining a gentleman? How tough it is?
You don't know me that well. No, I think look, it's first of all, I'm gonna say hi to a few people that I've said hi. Marco just joined, but no, I think look, it's one thing is being at the track, and at the track everyone is there within certain rules, and we know what we're there for. We want to win. We want to be competitive, and we pay a price for that. We work hard for it, and everyone that's involved in that game, let's say, understands the rule. And I think so that Jerome is someone that is trying to get the best possible results in an environment where everyone does, and everyone are on the same playing with the same rules. Life is something very different. I mean, maybe not life is not different in a way that, of course, I'm competitive and I like to do things in a proper way all the time, whatever I'm doing. But when you're with family, with friends, there's a sense of community, and that's also very important for me. You do things not only for yourself, but you do things for your loved ones, for your friends, for people around you. And this is why I also really cherish those relationships, and I try to nurture them.
Let's go step by step. And I know that this question was so many times asked you that, sorry if I can see bored. Sorry. Yeah. But it makes me very curious. As you know, I work a little bit on Formula One, and I work a little bit on Formula E. If you could say the main difference that you feel, not racing point, but the stress, the situation, racing, the competition, how can you describe a little bit the difference between Formula One and Formula E?
Well, you have to take it from the standpoint that I left Formula One, and Formula One is, of course, an established championship, and at the time was an established championship, the most competitive championship in racing in the world, the championship where every racing driver aspired to be. And I joined a startup. So to start off with the atmosphere, I mean, beyond the racing, driving the car and so on, it was a completely different idea. It was a different concept. We joined something, and after 3 races, we're not sure if we were going to make it to the 4th one. But we all believed in the values behind the championship, and this is why I think pushed a lot of us to commit to that championship. And so, yeah, the atmosphere was different. It was not only, and especially in the beginning, then things have evolved. The championship has established itself. But in the beginning there was this sense of beyond not just only let's go and win the race, but let's make this thing work. Let's contribute to the bigger picture of what we're trying to do with Formula E. a sense of community in that way within the Formula E community that I had not experienced before in any other championship.
Jerome, let's go to the actual points. So then we go, I know that you like to talk about also the technical sides of the Formula E and the future of mobility, and I want to go there, but let's make 2 steps back. Question number 1, through coronavirus days, we have many information like the Organisation Mondiale de la Santé, the HMO, that says that, for instance, the most safe system to move ourselves is the car. So be afraid and be very attentive to train and planes. So we have been working for several years to convince people to try to pollute less. And now we are in the strange situation where it seems that, at least for the time of Corona, cars can be the best solutions. And this is question number 1. But question number 2, how do you really feel would be, and there will be some changes of mobility and understanding after coronavirus? I mean, you think that coronavirus is, of course, giving us a lot of disease, horrible pain. We are so sad for the old people that are dying. Yes, of course. But on the other side, do you think that Corona, to mobility, to electric cars, to pollution problems, will teach us something?
So to answer your first question, we should all be already driving electric cars. Then it wouldn't be a problem. No, I think that obviously at the moment, clearly, I mean, yeah, public transportations and so on are definitely an answer and part of the future of mobility. At the moment with the coronavirus, it's difficult, social distancing, and obviously it's not encouraged to go and take public transport. At the moment, your car is realistically your only real way of transportation, unless you can cycle to your job or whatever. But in the bigger picture, I think that, you know, one thing that we can see for sure, and I mean, and I think at some practical levels, I'm here actually in Croatia and I'm on an island, and when you speak with the locals and everything, they haven't seen so many actually marine life um, around the island in the recent years, because there's just no boats, no pollutions, noise pollutions. So I think what we're noticing definitely in places is nature taking a little bit a step forward compared to what we were doing, and that is in some places something nice to see, that nature is there, and nature is actually, we realize that we actually take a lot of space, and in times like this where we don't take that space, we realize that animals come back. In terms of mobility, I think that because of all that, and we see CO2 emissions as decrease, and I think we'll see a positive impact on that side, we'll realize that hopefully we really need to work towards building those technologies to have a cleaner mobility in general, at every level. I think it's really important that we push towards that. Then of course we can get into politics and you know, where are the stimulus going to be spent? Where are the budgets going to be spent? Could we spend some more to promote even more sustainable developments versus we have to save an existing economy, which at the moment is really struggling? I mean, it's a vast topic, but in general, I think that in terms of CO2 emissions and mobility, we're getting answers that we can live, firstly, perhaps also more simple lives. And what are the distance that we covered before, the CO2 emissions that we emitted before, that us as individuals, we actually we feel like today realizing we don't need to. We can actually do this live now on the phone. And also, you know, we need to develop those technologies, and we need to keep on pushing for a cleaner future.
Jerome, for a long time, the Formula One says that we are the platform where we develop the technology for the cars. Can you help me and help the people that are watching to us? How do you think, or if it really happens, that there is a true, for example, you drive for the Mahindra racing team, which is a player in the future of electric mobility, of course, not only with Battista from Pininfarina, which is part of Mahindra, of course, but also with day-by-day car. So in a way, is it true also that in Formula E, you bring some experience of Formula E to the normal production of the future electric cars?
Yes, of course. I mean, more than in any other racing series, I think, actually, in the world at the moment. The technology is fairly new. It's growing and it's evolving, sorry, rapidly. And of course, we know that racing pushes the technologies to its limits. We always want more. The electric motors and the powertrain that we had in season one were about at an efficiency of about below 90% efficiency. We're now above 97% efficiency. The battery goes 2 times the distance for as double more capacity for the same size. So we go twice the distance. We are pushing this, and that technology goes directly into everyday's car. What is also good about Formula E is that the championship actually allows manufacturers only to develop technology that can be transferred in real cars. So you're not allowed to develop aerodynamics, and of course, the aerodynamics of a Formula One car is obsolete to your everyday car, mostly obsolete to everyday car. And so what you want is really to make sure that the money is spent by manufacturers in an area where they can translate that technology into their own into their commercial vehicles.
And can you give me an example?
Well, I can give you an example with the electric motor. The efficiency of the motor, the inverters, which manages the current, the power, and so on. I mean, all these are things that you can take and put in an electric vehicle and in a road car. And these are very concrete examples. Software also, management. Of course, there's a whole part of softwares which the people don't see. It's more difficult to perceive, but it has a huge impact also on the efficiency of the whole process.
I see from the name of that are arriving around, entering into the group, that there are a lot of my good friends about classic cars. So they will say, "Oh, wow, the engine, the sound," and then. So, what can be a realistic answer? Do you think it is a generation problem? So my two sons will be electric addicted, and they will say, "Okay, nice combustion engine," or do you think there will be a chance to survive, or how do you see it?
I hope we can survive as well. At home I have a classic car that's more than 30 years old and an electric car, and I go around with these two. I think that for the mass market, electric cars are definitely the way forward, and we need to emphasize the importance of finding a cleaner mobility for the mass market. Classic cars are a very niche market, and I think that it's not a problem, or it's not a long-term problem to have a few rallies, to have a few collectors of classic cars. On the mass production of CO2, it's very small. What really where the challenge is really for the mass mass production of CO2, so everyone driving every day to work and so on. I think we can have both. We can enjoy electric cars in the future, the practicality of electric cars, also perhaps of self-driving cars in a city, and then enjoy the real emotions behind driving a car that you have when you drive a car that is 40, 50, 60 years old, which I really love, and I think we can enjoy both of those.
And I have a good friend, Marco Perroni, that joined us from Julius Baer, and Marco couldn't see the helmets of the Formula E. He's now on board with us, and he say there is no future without heritage, and heritage means the future, which is a claim of Julius Baer since a long time. You told me several times, but because we became friends, I have the honor to host you several years at Passione Engadina. I was really amazed to have you. How do you feel without your Octofinissimo that you lived in Monte Carlo? Eh?
I left home with nothing. I've got 2 pants, and I left home for 2 days. Short story, to come here, and we had some things to visit and to do here in Croatia. And by the time I wanted to leave, lockdown had happened, and here we are. We've been here for 2 months, so without my watch, my beautiful Bulgari watch, and yeah, it's a pity, but I'll be looking forward to get it back when I get to Monaco.
Yeah, but going back, and in which words do you see yourself in the future? Because I know you told me several times, I was saying that you adore the technology story, the technology, the future, the concept of mobility. Where do you see yourself in the future?
It's difficult. I definitely want to contribute in the way I can. as a race car driver, I committed to Formula E, and I think that was my way to commit to that future, that change that was happening and that needed to happen. Um, and that was how I contributed back in for the last 6 years, and perhaps for a few more years. Um, in the future, I still want to be part of that. I think that I love technology. I think that our solution will come through science and technology development to implement solutions that will be sustainable and actually implementable in the long term by a lot of people. So I want to be involved in that at the mobility level, at an e-mobility level, and perhaps beyond that. Anything that involves solutions that are more sustainable on the long term is something that interests me, and that goes for mobility, but can go for food, feed industry, for at different levels.
Tell me one thing. I showed something that you didn't see before. That is this. Sorry if I have to skip for a second. Okay. Okay. This is the lovely helmet that I have in my office, which is a lovely gift. So I saw you on the podium in Zurich. So we were so lucky to see you on podium. What's the future of this Formula E championship, in your opinion? I mean, I had a long talk just today with Fred Vasseur, and they are really trying to understand in Formula One. Fred Vasseur is the team principal of Alfa Romeo Racing Sauber, and they're really working around the project of Formula One with no spectators, probably, problem of trips, because, okay, we have 2,000 mechanics and people, and but how to move around the world. We can have the idea to drive every week in a race, but how can we move? What does it happen if one of the mechanics, for example, of McLaren has a coronavirus problem? So how do you think will be the future for Formula E? Formula One is...
Are you talking about the... Sorry, I'm not sure I understand. Are you talking about the short-term future or the long-term?
The short-term.
Well, the short-term, yes. I think that, we still... Hopefully we'll still be able, and I think we'll go racing probably without spectators, but that's part, obviously, and it's an important part of racing. But hopefully we can still create content that people will be able to enjoy from home, which actually at the moment is in high demand. There's little content in terms of sports, or no content, because they're not happening simply. So I think that will hopefully we'll be able to make that happen in the coming months, and then recover to normality in in the next year. But I think it's definitely I'm for going racing, if safe, of course, if considered safe, and we have to make sure that that's the case, for all the employees and all the mechanics, the engineers, all the people employed by Formula E or by racing series. But without spectators, because I think that won't be realistic. That wouldn't be realistic until the end of the year.
Okay, let me say that we have still 10 minutes, quite about. If somebody wants to make, okay, Formula season number 5 is finished now? Yes, we're just answering. Yes, perfect.
No.
If you want, no,
So
it's not yet.
I'll answer that question to Mr. Crosse. No, it won't be finished. It's not finished. Hopefully, it will resume later in the summer.
Good. So if you want to start to do some questions through Instagram, we will be very happy to.
Yeah, those are my friends, Sakon Yamamoto, my ex-physio, Simon.
Okay.
And it's season 6. Good point, Marco. We're in season 6, actually, so it's not... Season 5 is finished, and we're in the middle of season 6.
Yes. Tell me your relations, because I met you through Marco Paroni of Julius Baer. Julius Baer is sponsors of Passione Engadina since the real beginning. Honestly speaking, I've been working with a lot of banks in my life, not only privately, but as a sponsor. And Julius Baer, from the real beginning, was a visionary sponsor for Passione Engadina. They believed in our concept, and they believe in me. I have to thank everybody there. There was a lot of changes around the bank also, but they always remain with me. And which is your relations with Julius Baer, and how do you feel with them?
It's amazing. With Marco Paroni, it's a bit more difficult, but and I'm joking. I know he's listening. Look, what I really like about the relationship I have with them is that we share common values. And if you want to put that into context right now, it means that we share a passion for future development and for the importance of developing a sustainable future. But we both love heritage, and we support that as well. We cannot forget from where we're coming from. There's some beautiful aspects, even though it's not always sustainable, as I say, on the big scale. There's some beautiful aspects of driving, old cars and so on. We're passionate people, And so yeah, there's these both aspects of the love for the past and for the heritage, and the commitment to a better future.
Now, tell me about your relation with Mahindra. So you moved 2 years ago to Mahindra, which is an Indian team, of course, and Mr. Mahindra is absolutely involved with Pininfarina also. They bought Pininfarina. They are the owner of both Carrozzeria Pininfarina and Pininfarina Automobili. Is there a big, huge project around Mahindra Electric too?
Yeah, I mean, Mahindra electric cars they've been producing their first electric cars before most companies a while back. I don't have the date exactly, but they've been really leading in in that sector. Of course, sharing common values is the same thing, with as well as with Julius Baer. Commitment to the future, to develop a sustainable future. I think that's real for most of the brands actually in Formula E. But I've really had it's a family relationship with Mahindra. It's a big company, but that stayed very human, and this is something that I really enjoy. I've joined the team now 2 years ago, and as I said, it's they have 17 or 18 publicly traded companies, so it's a big group.
Yes, of
But the
course.
atmosphere be in the team, and in terms of Formula E level, it's not the biggest team. It's very human, very reactive, and hopefully we can get the results that everyone deserves there.
Let's go back to the actuality for a while, my friend. What are you learning from coronavirus in these days?
I think the biggest impact it has on me personally is I realize how many unnecessary things I used to do that actually I don't miss. That's one thing. I knew it, but now I feel it, and we have a concrete example in front of us. How closely we are all connected. It doesn't matter if you're in China, in New Zealand, Belgium, or America. It's if something happens, it happens. It can happen globally. For some stuff, there are no borders, and that's valid also not only for the coronavirus, but also for CO2 emissions. And I think that the strong link that we have, and seeing things sometimes with the more global perspective rather than local one, is something that I've learned from this.
And
Well,
there is a gentleman who asked
questions.
us, no, I have one question before from a gentleman that says, do you have a date for the restart of the Formula E?
We don't, so I'm gonna answer the questions below. We don't have a date yet for the restart. As I said, hopefully late summer, maybe sometime August, September. I don't know. There's nothing official, but that's hopefully what we hope for. What do you think about the economical gestion of Formula E during this crisis?
Yeah.
It seems that Formula E take care of teams, not the case. I'm not going to comment on what Formula One does, because frankly, I don't know what Formula One does. But yeah, I think Formula E is everyone in Formula E and the Formula E community is really trying to find solutions for every party involved. I think we can link that back to Formula E and someone has Windows.
Yeah. This was my end. Sorry.
I think we can link that back to how it started, and this sense of let's make this thing work, let's make Formula E work. We were a startup 6 years ago, and in a situation like this feeling of let's make sure we keep the bigger picture and we make the whole project work is something that is helping us. So there is another question. Paulon,
No,
sorry to
I have a
interrupt you.
question for you. This is what my personal question for you, my friend, is what do you think about the virtual race, Formula One or Formula E virtual race? What do you really think? But please don't be politics.
Look, I think it's me behind the wheel. I enjoy it. I mean, it's let's say that it's better than nothing, but let's say that doesn't replace the real thing. Let's be honest. It's not a replacement for the real thing. It's something that we can have now, and we have fun while doing it. But I want to get back behind the real steering wheel as early as I can.
If you could buy a classic car of your dream,
So I really love the Dino. I
Okay.
love the Dino. I've loved that design all the time. I mean, it's a
The
beautiful
Spider
car.
one,
Yeah.
the Dino Spider, the Tony Curtis against Roger
Yes.
Moore. You're too young,
Yes.
probably.
I'm too young, but I know which one you're talking about, and so that one is amazing. As Marco mentioned,
Ferrari
the
F40.
F40 is amazing, and I have myself a Turbo 3.6 from '93, which I really enjoy as well. It was a it's a new acquisition, and I enjoy that as well very much. But in terms of design and everything, I must say that the Ferrari Dino is has always been a dream of mine.
I have to tell you also that we are preparing a good car for you this summer. Every summer we try to find a good car. Sorry for the Oscar Maserati totally open on a wet race where you and your girlfriend became totally wet in one of our editions, but we are preparing with Julius and Marco something special for this year.
I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait I can't wait for
Honestly,
it.
I take 2 seconds. We are really working hard to be one of the few in the Europe classic car meeting able to organize a coronavirus-free event. Honestly speaking, it is very hard. It's not easy, and honestly, it will take time. But we are trying to be Passione Engadina, one of the few events not cancelled. Not easy, believe me, not easy. But we are
You
preparing
always
good.
manage to pull extraordinary things, Pallone.
No. Thank you. You're too kind with me, but really, I have to tell you, I don't want to take place in this Instagram. We are at the end, but I think it's important not to give up. I mean, of course, coronavirus has changed our life, and it's changing our perception of the future. It will change the perception and the reality of our future, but there will be a future. Can be a little bit different, can be tougher, can be new, but we must live in what is happening in the future, not looking what it was in the past, because it will not be the same. So it's important to give signal, and we can do a classical event, of course, coronavirus free, not easy, but we can do it. It's so easy to say sorry, we go back to 2021 because we are not able. I'm trying to change this. And I learned something like from you, because you fight every race of your life. When you enter in a car, when you put your helmet on, you're not there just to play. You're just to
No,
give the
never.
best.
Exactly.
So let me say thanks for this wonderful. First, it was very emotional for me for two reasons. It was the first, but it was with you. And I have really officially worldwide to say that Julius represents me a real gentleman, a real friend like you, Jerome. I'm not kidding. I'm not playing. And I have to say thanks to Julius Bear, of course. Please be safe. Take back your Bulgari. We will be very happy to see you with that. And
Thank you for having me, Pallone. It's always a
and
pleasure, and I hope that everyone stays safe.
absolutely.
And that's the most important, and that out of this we all learn something that we can take into the world post coronavirus and try to make it a better place.
Yeah, you're totally right, Jerome. And let me say, we just make a movie around coronavirus here in Ticino, where we are. And this movie tells very clearly that the future is our hands. Now we know that we can keep down the pandemic and the situation. If we take safe way of being, we can survive, we can live, there is a future, there will be a solution in a way. So now really the future is our hands. It's not only on the scientist on a term, but we, with our way of being, we can live
Also
in the
learn
future.
something.
We have to be sure. Jerome, I hope the life
Thanks.
will bring you all the things in the professional science in the future, lots of
Thank you
things
so
to share
much.
with you. You're the one.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you
Ciao,
to join
Pallone.
us, our
Ciao, everybody.
community.
Ciao,
Ciao, my
ciao.
friends. Thank you.